I do want to thank everybody for joining me today. My name is Craig Gomolka. I am the recruiter for all of our graduate and undergraduate programs here at the University of Michigan-Flint School of Management. Obviously, today we're going to be talking about our leadership program. So we'll get started. Starting with the University of Michigan, obviously 3 campuses within the Michigan system, Ann Arbor certainly being the flagship of the university. We have our Dearborn and then our Flint campus. There's a lot of great things about our Flint campus, which I'm going to tell you about, but there's certainly some differences between the campuses. Certainly, we have leadership programs. Dearborn doesn't have a leadership program. There's different costs associated with the programs across the different campuses. Admission standards are different. Structures of the programs are going to be different. But no matter what campus you attend, you're going to get that great University of Michigan education. Degrees and diplomas are all issued by the University of Michigan. So no matter what campus you attend, you're going to get that great University of Michigan education. You're going to have that wonderful diploma to hang on your wall that says University of Michigan. All the business schools at the University of Michigan are accredited by AACSB International. It's the top accrediting body for business schools around the world. What's so important about AACSB accreditation, and what does it actually do for you as a student? So first off, it tells you that all of your full-time professors have their PhDs. There's some of the very best professors out there in the whole world. And then those professors do a lot of research and then publication, typically over a 3 to 5 year period, which tells you that your professors are staying on current topics and trends in their particular discipline. Whether, especially when we look at the leadership program, whether that's negotiations or organizational behavior or talent management, those type of different disciplines, your professors are going to be doing research. They're seeing where their colleagues are doing research, and they're able to bring a lot of that research into the classroom to have discussions around, certain research that's going on in the industry today. Students love rankings, so I always like to throw a little ranking slide on there for our students. The newest ranking that we actually achieved was actually for our undergrad program, which we're pretty proud of. We were actually ranked the #1 online Bachelor's of Business program in the state of Michigan, and we were top 20 in the US. So certainly we're something to be very proud of. So let's start off by talking about our program goals in our leadership program. I picked out a few goals. This certainly isn't all of them that we have for our students, but these are some of the more interesting goals that I thought students would really enjoy kind of hearing about. And the first one, certainly learning leadership from a business perspective. There's a lot of leadership programs out there. A lot of them actually are founding, education departments, education schools. There's very few that come from the business perspective. So that's one of the more interesting factors in terms of how we developed our program. We look at leadership, obviously being in the business school, from the business perspective. Certainly, we want to understand leadership from both a macro and micro perspective of management. Again, a lot of those programs out there that do come from B schools, they look at kind of the micro areas of leadership. So more of your one-on-one or your smaller departmental level perspectives. Whereas our program, we balance the macro and the micro together. We're going to give you, the macro concepts, but we're also going to look at a more global view of an organization, certainly in how that organization fits into a global environment as well. So the macro classes that we do have and macro concepts are going to be very important blending in our program. Certainly, we want our students to be able to formulate sound leadership strategies and tactics as you move through this program. So you'll be getting those in a lot of different classes. Ethics, ethics is a big part of leadership, and how does it really affect the decisions that you make? Not only how you're making them for your organization, but certainly the community around you as well too. And we've got an entire class just on ethics and how those affect your business decisions as a leader and manager. Certainly effective communication skills and promoting change within your audience, and really always improving communication skills is going to be important no matter what master's program you're in. But certainly from a leadership perspective, how do you promote change within your organization through your communication? And that's something we're going to be talking about within this program. And then our last one that we're going to kind of talk about is going to be the intercultural and diversity elements that are most relevant to a specific leadership issue, and how do you use them from a strategic perspective? Certainly diversity, very important in all organizations, but how do you use your diversity to benefit your organization? And certainly coming from a leadership perspective, how do you utilize that again, from a strategic perspective. And we're going to be talking about those in a lot of different classes that we have in this program as well, too. So those are kind of 6 important goals that I thought you'd be interested in hearing about. Now let's take a look at the actual classes within this program so you can kind of see where some of those goals actually fit into. So the way this program is actually balanced out is through foundation and then what we call our advanced courses. So there's 3 foundation courses. We've got our negotiation class, organizational behavior, and then strategy, organizational theory, and design. A little bit different in terms of how we set up our program. Traditionally, foundation courses should be taken before the advanced courses, but depending upon the course schedule, it's not always necessary in this particular program. Certainly, we encourage our students whenever possible, you want to get those foundation courses in because they do what they say. They build that foundation, so you're going to be successful in more of the advanced courses. So, for example, we'll start off with negotiations. This is a crossover class to our MBA program, and I'll talk about our dual program here in a minute. But you'll see this in both our MBA program and our leadership program. It's probably the student's favorite course that they take in probably both of our programs. Negotiations is great because it blends personal and professional negotiations together in this one particular course. So you start off with basically, one-on-one negotiations. You kind of move up to maybe, a 2-on-2, and then you get into more multi-party negotiations. You deal with topics like, buying a car, negotiating salary, dealing with homeowners associations, dealing with boardroom negotiations. So like I said, the blending of personal and professional negotiations is really good in that particular class. Organizational behavior, certainly a very important topic in this particular program. We deal with trends in organizational behavior. It deals with, motivation for employees, diversity, different personalities, and how they really affect your organization. And then we delve into the strategy, organizational theory, and design course. This deals with culture and structure, the design of your environment, why things were structured the way they were, and how do you really utilize that as a leader of your organization to your benefit. So those are going to be the 3 foundation courses. Then we move into our advanced courses. So talent management, obviously recruiting talent, dealing with your talent in your organization. How do you keep your talent happy within your organization as well too? So the challenges and solutions that kind of come with that are going to be covered in this particular class. We kind of talked about our leadership class in the previous slide, but dealing with all sorts of ethical issues and dilemmas that leaders face. How do decisions that you make really affect, again, your organization? And then certainly the community is around you as well too. So those are going to be some dilemmas that leaders face and going to have to deal with. We do have an advanced negotiation class. Obviously, you're going to be building on the skills that you had in the first negotiation class. This class will deal with more multi-party negotiations, mediations, and certainly one of the topics that we cover that is really interesting is going to be gender in negotiations. Obviously, that plays a big factor in a lot of people's negotiations. Certainly, men versus women. I think most men think that women don't negotiate as well as them. So you're going to be kind of covering those types of topics and why men are going to be sometimes at an advantage or sometimes at a disadvantage depending upon the type of negotiations. So those are all interesting topics that will be covered in that particular class. We have strategic innovation management. This is always a question I get from students is, how does an innovation course really fit into a leadership program? And it is really a good question. And the reason we kind of cover innovation is, for those organizations that actually don't innovate, they kind of sometimes fall by the wayside. We always use kind of Kodak as an example, Polaroid as well too. So, kind of those companies, huge in the 80s, a little bit in the 90s, and then when certainly digital photography came out, they didn't quite innovate as quick as some of the other companies, and certainly you can kind of see where they are now. So having an innovation strategy, understanding why innovation is important, will be covered in this particular class. Leading organizational change. This is a change management course, building upon the organizational behavior course. So change management, how do you change cultures in organizations? And from a leadership perspective, how do you really get people through your communication kind of follow your changes that you really want to kind of evoke in your organization? Certainly not a lot of people like change, so understanding how to bring people along to your side and kind of lead change is going to be an important topic in this particular course. There's no capstone in this course, but if I say there was one, it would probably be our leadership and organizations course. We're going to do kind of like a survey of leadership and perspective ideas, things that really shape leadership. And then certainly we're going to analyze and solve real world issues in leadership. We're going to look at those as well too in this particular course. And then the last one, international management, certainly everything being global nowadays. From a leadership perspective, how do you take advantage of a global environment, moving across borders? Certainly, again, most companies being international and global. From a leadership perspective, you really want to know how to best take advantage of those opportunities when they are presented to you. This is a 10-course program, 30 credit hours, and it does require 2 years of management experience to pursue this particular program. A couple of reasons we have the 2 years in here is we do want our students to have some type of managerial and leadership experience at the professional level, so we can really kind of have some of these conversations around a lot of these topics. What you've had your experiences in, what your organization does. Certainly, we want to be able to build upon your current leadership abilities to kind of make you a better leader and a better manager, not only for yourself, but for your organization. A similar setup to the leadership program, we've got our foundation, we've got our core classes, and then we've got our concentration area for the MBA. The benefit to a dual degree is really to take classes from one degree and count them towards the other degree. This program is great because we're actually going to take 5 of those leadership classes, count them right in the MBA. Typically, the MBA is a 15-course program, so you can actually reduce that by 5 courses by completing the leadership program, and you'll see 5 of those courses already built into this dual degree. One of the differences between the foundation courses of the leadership and the MBA is you can actually waive courses in the MBA where you cannot waive them in the leadership. The leadership degree is already 10 courses, 30 credit hours. That's the minimum requirement for any master's degree. So the MBA being typically 15 courses or 45 credit hours gives us the ability to waive a few of these foundation courses based on criteria such as taking them within the last 10 years and getting B's or B pluses depending upon what school you've taken them in. So for example, accounting for managers, if you've taken financial and managerial accounting within the last 10 years and we deem it equivalent, and you've gotten a B or a B plus depending upon the school, you can waive that particular course. Economics, same thing. Org behavior, you can't because it's part of that dual degree. Strategy, organizational theory, and design, you can't. It's part of the leadership program. And then quantitative analysis, probably the most difficult class to waive because it's a combination of stats and a course we call management science. So depending upon your background, you may be able to waive a few of these foundation courses. Then we'll get into the core part of the program. So the top ones are pretty much MBA courses. So we've got our finance course. Global Dimensions is our international business course. And then you'll see many of the leadership courses with the management prefix. So talent management, ethical leadership, strategic innovation management, the international management, all part of the leadership program. Then we've got some MBA courses here. So we've got information systems, which is a lot of e-commerce. We deal with a non-market strategy, which is law, ethics, and policy from the MBA program. You can see our negotiation course here. That is obviously a crossover between both programs. Strategic management is our actually MBA capstone, so it'll be one of the very last courses that you take in the MBA. Marketing, and then our operations and supply chain course. So you'll have those in the MBA as well too. Then our concentration in leadership, all 3 of those will come over from the leadership program as well too. So our advanced negotiation class, the leading organizational change class, and then the leadership and organizations will come over. Typically 45 to 60 credit hours, again, depending upon some of those foundation course waivers, somewhere between 15 to 20 courses for most students, again, depending upon those foundation course waivers. So in terms of applying, you can apply for one program at the beginning. You can decide, later on that, you want to start the MBA or start the leadership, whichever one you want to do. So you don't have to apply for them both right away. A lot of our students do know that I want to do both degrees right away, and they could certainly apply for both. And then you can certainly finish one degree and then even apply afterwards. There's some different conditions if you want to start one degree, graduate, and then come back for the second degree. But we can certainly make that manageable. It's certainly working with your academic advisor. We can make that possible. So there's a lot of different ways to pursue the dual degrees. And again, there's a lot of different advantages to pursuing, the generalist degree, which is the MBA, and then the more focused degree, which is certainly a leadership focused degree as well too. The way we teach our leadership program is a hybrid format. We actually call our format Net Plus. It's a combination of synchronous and asynchronous online courses. It used to be campus and online, but with COVID, that's changed a little bit. So it's going to be online asynchronous and then online synchronous. And I'll kind of walk through how all that works here in a slide or two. But typically in the leadership program, we offer classes 1 and 2 times per year. The ones that cross over to the MBA program are typically offered 2 times per year. And most of the MBA courses, if you're thinking about the dual program, are offered twice per year. Students in this program typically take 2 fall classes, 2 winter classes, a spring and a summer class. You will be required to take at least 1 spring and 1 summer course. The spring course that we offer is ethical leadership. It is only offered in the spring semester. And then leading organizational change is only offered in the summer semester. So at least once in the spring and once in summer, you do have to take a class. You can finish the program in as few as 20 months, or you can really take up to 5 years to complete the program. I would say most students, because they usually end up taking a break or so, somewhere around 2 years or so, maybe 24 months or even a semester longer than that. So, if you follow 2 fall, 2 winter, 1 spring, 1 summer, 2 fall, and then 2 winter again, that's a 20-month program. We do follow the traditional academic calendar that the university has. So fall and winter are 15 weeks long. And then spring and summer are those accelerated semesters. So they're 7 weeks. So May and half of June. And then summer semesters can be July and about half of August. So again, the ethical leadership and that change management course will be offered in those shorter semesters. We utilize Blackboard and Canvas for our learning platforms. This year, we're actually on Blackboard, and the university is switching to Canvas full-time starting in fall of 2022. So if you've taken an online class, you're probably familiar with one of those 2 platforms. Nothing too complicated about using either of them. But you'll find all your syllabi and class assignments there. Different deadlines will be all posted there. They're great for meeting rooms, for group projects, time tests. I would say probably in most of these classes, you have some type of time test. We do have a couple professors that give untimed tests. They're typically essay tests. But usually they open them, let's say, for 3 to 7 days. So let's say Friday to Monday, or even a Sunday to Sunday, something like that. Tests will be open. So plenty of time to kind of get your tests in for whatever particular class that you're doing. Threaded discussion may be a part of that as well too. Other type of coursework, certainly, readings, whether those are textbook material or supplemental materials that professors give you. Sometimes they're just a smaller, like Professor Lawrence, who teaches negotiations, which I've got a picture up here, has some smaller books that you can kind of see, not necessarily textbooks, but different reading options for you in terms of understanding different concepts. Case studies, case analysis, team projects and presentations, always important. And then certainly maybe essays or analysis papers that you may be doing for some different classes. And then time commitment, always a big question that students have as well too. So for every class that you take in this program, expect to put in about 7 to 9 hours of work per week for that particular class. So 1 class is not too bad, 7 to 9 hours a week. 2 classes, now you're looking at 15 to 18 hours. So certainly, students in this program, a lot of them have families, so balancing family obligations, certainly professional careers, and then obviously, a master's program as well too. So it gets kind of hectic. So knowing the time commitment you have to put in for each class, certainly very important for our students. And I did mention our Net Plus. So the online portion, which is about 60%, pretty straightforward, but we do have synchronous sessions that are required in this format. One of the reasons that this format works so well in the leadership program is we do want our students to be together. Networking is a big part of our program, but not only that, understanding and learning from each other is a very important part of our program. learning from your professor is one thing, but understanding how students from a very diverse population solve problems is important as well too. So not only do we have people from, business backgrounds, but, we get them from, engineering and education, certainly the military, healthcare, all sorts of different backgrounds that we'll get in this program. And everybody solves problems very differently in this program. So not only learning from your colleagues is important, but, kind of blending that with what the professor is teaching as well too is, going to be very important for our students learning. Let's go into kind of some of our goals that we have when we're going to be together, and then I'll kind of go over the structure. So group dynamic and interaction, kind of like you would in a traditional classroom, but obviously we're going to kind of be more in a Zoom format. You'll get your lecturing from professors. You may have a presentation or two in some of the different classes, even though you're not there, you're going to be doing it, via Zoom. Group discussions and debates, are going to be great. Again, I mentioned the network opportunities that students are going to have within this type of format. And we call these residencies that you're going to be kind of on, and they are required. They're going to be listed in the course catalog. And if you see here on my next box here, this winter, they're actually going to be 4 Saturdays. In the spring semester and the summer semester, I think they're going to be a Friday and a Saturday. So it's going to be Friday, Saturday, probably the second or third week of the semester in the spring, and then probably the 6th week of the semester. So those will be required as well too. We're trying to figure out what's best for our students in this particular program, going between the Saturdays and the Fridays, or going through all 4 Saturdays. We'll see what students kind of feel like works best for them, and we'll probably make some changes coming the fall schedule, I would think. So we'll see what students like. My guess is they probably like the 4 Saturdays, but you never quite know. We've always run these traditionally on a Friday, Saturday, but I think the feedback has been 4 Saturdays. So we shall see what it's going to come out as we move into the next academic year starting in the fall. In terms of how we're going to run these sessions, we have 2 types of classes. We'll have a morning class and we'll have an afternoon class. Obviously, you can't take 2 mornings, you can't take 2 afternoons. So if you do take 2 classes in the semester, one of your classes will meet in the morning, the other will meet in the afternoon. If you take 1 class during that semester, it could be a morning session or it could be an afternoon session, depending upon where that falls. And all those will be listed in the course schedule as well too, whether it's an AM or a PM meeting time. In either way, it's going to be 4 days in total. Tuition, always an important factor when considering a graduate degree. So in-state tuition, $833.25 per credit hour. We do have a registration fee of $227 every semester. So no matter if you take 1 class or you take 5 classes, registration assessment is always the same. Leadership program itself is right around $25,000. If you're looking at the dual program, again, it can range anywhere from $37,000 to about $50,000. But take into consideration, you're getting 2 master's degrees, from the University of Michigan. Even at the $50,000 mark, I think it's an outstanding tuition price for, 2 master's degrees from a business school here at the University of Michigan. So those are the tuition prices for certainly 2021. And then we have admission deadlines. November 15 is our deadline, which was, I think, yesterday, wasn't it, for the winter semester. Otherwise, we've got our spring semester, summer semester, and then always, a lot of students will gear up for that fall semester where we have it early, and then we've got our final deadlines for that semester as well too. And then what do you have to submit to apply for the program? Certainly, we've got our online application. We do have a $55 application fee that goes along with it. But because you attended the webinar today, I will send you a fee waiver code after we're done here so you can waive that application fee. We do require all official transcripts from any and all colleges that you attended. Unless you attended the University of Michigan-Flint, then we've got those on file already. Otherwise, even if you attended, let's say, took 1 class at a community college, we still need that transcript. So make sure you send all the transcripts from any and all colleges you attended. Your resume, we want to make sure we have all your work and education experience on there. In terms of this program, you want to be very detailed in terms of your leadership and managerial experience. Be sure to kind of talk about, all of that in kind of detailed format on your resume. If you've managed people, if you've managed projects, different things like that, make sure those are highlighted or bulleted on your resume so the committee can kind of see those pretty easily. A one-page statement of purpose. So, what are your leadership goals and how will the MS in Leadership program really help contribute to accomplishing these goals? Just one page, pretty much your essay about this particular program and why you want admission to this program. 2 letters of recommendation. We've got a great online form for that. So all you have to do within this online application is put in the name, the email, and the title of the person you want to ask a recommendation from. Once you actually hit that submission, so you'll put in your fee waiver, you'll hit that submit button. The next day, our grad office will send your recommenders a link. It's pretty easy. They get the link, they click on it, they answer 6 questions about you, and they submit it and they're done. So no formal letter that they have to write, nothing really that you have to do after that. So pretty easy. If you do have people that want to write a formal letter, they're more than welcome to submit that in lieu of the online form, but we find that people really like the online form. In this program, you do need 1 recommendation from a supervisor. Even if you're thinking about doing this program and you're not quite sure yet, you want to get started, let's say with the MBA, but you're thinking about adding the leadership program, get 1 from a supervisor so you don't have to go back and get another letter of recommendation just in case you want to apply for it. So always recommend just getting that letter of recommendation from the supervisor right away, and then we don't have to deal with it if you're thinking about the dual program. GMAT GRE and our GMAT waiver I will talk about on the next slide. We do require English proficiency from our international students. And then the application is pretty flexible. So I mentioned, getting your recommenders in there, hitting that submit button, getting your fee waiver in there before it expires. You can set in your the rest of your items for your application at any time. So let's say you get your resume in a month from now, your letters of recommendation come in after that. No big deal. So we won't actually review your application until it's fully completed. So you can set it in piece by piece. And then again, once it's completed, then we'll be able to review it for admission to the program. And the application is also good for 1 year. So if you're thinking about starting a year from now, you can still utilize that fee waiver that I'm going to give you. And then, you can kind of slowly submit your pieces, and then your application is good for a year. One of the other things that we do for students as well too is, let's say you're admitted for this winter. Things come up, you can't start right away. You can actually defer your admission for up to a year, meaning that you don't have to resubmit everything. We can just kind of push your admission off for up to a year as well too. So if things happen, just let me know. We can always make accommodations for you and kind of change that start date for you. I did mention the GMAT waiver policy. So the GMAT and GRE are part of our admissions process, but we do have waivers for students that meet certain criteria. And these are the criteria. Really, we're going to be looking at the 4 bullets I highlighted in yellow here. So students with a graduate degree from a regionally accredited institution, which is pretty much most institutions here in the US, or an undergrad degree with a 3.0 or higher from a school with an AACSB accredited business program, or if they're not AACSB, a 3.2 or higher from a regionally accredited university or college. So again, most colleges in the US. If you don't have a 3.2, we're looking at a 2.75 with 3 years of professional work experience or US military experience. So 2.75 with 3 years of experience. Or if you've got some different certifications, let's say like a PMP or the CPA, we can review those. Or if you're admitted to one of our doctorate or even our master's in PA program, we'll waive those requirements. So those are the requirements to waive the GMAT. All you have to do is send me an email with your name, confirm that you have submitted your application. I can't send a GMAT waiver over until an application is on file, so we can actually check that box. Remind me the program you're applying for, what semester you're applying for, and then also send over your transcripts and resume. So obviously I can review, the work experience and then the GPA from your school, or college or university is really what I meant. So transcripts and resume, and then I'll be able to review those for the GMAT waiver. And that is my quick summary of our leadership program today.